Ever Locked On Vikings postcast here on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Sam Ekstrom with you. Football is back. I've got the good, the bad, and the ugly from the Minnesota Vikings preseason opener against the Las Vegas Raiders. We endeavored to do this with Luke Braun. He was in the stadium. Does not always lend itself well to good phone reception or technology, and apparently the ushers made him leave. So, riding solo, it's Sam Ekstrom. You can also hear the Ron Johnson show tomorrow morning. I'll be with Ron reacting to the game in longer form fashion. But I got a list here of the good, the bad, and the ugly from Vikings Raiders. Final score, Raiders 26, Vikings 20. Who cares? Preseason results don't matter. Here's the stuff that matters, I think, to most Vikings fans. Let's start with the good stuff. Second team run game. Now, this is not Dalvin Cook. It wasn't even Alexander Mattison, and it was not your starting offensive line. That being said, the backup running backs were the stars, particularly rookie Ty Chandler, who was unbelievable. Every time he touched the ball, he was making something happen. Ty Chandler is going to steal reps from Alexander Mattison this year. And before even seeing Ty Chandler play today, I thought that Madison's number 2 spot in the running back depth chart was already in jeopardy with Kene Nwangwu, who was also very good in this game. But Ty Chandler showed something today. That was an explosive performance. And I don't care if it's coming against the number 2 defense. When you run for 10 yards a carry on 5 carries, it was 14, 12, 10 yards a pop every time he touched the ball. That's really good to see for Vikings fans, and they obviously have one of the deeper backfields in the NFL. And credit the run blocking, too. It felt like there were a lot of cutback lanes. Kene Nwangwu continues to look extremely explosive, to me at least. 7 carries, 41 yards for him. And as a team, the Vikings, 5.2 yards per carry after a pretty slow start. So I liked what that group showed. Kellen Mond, late in the game. Now, we'll get to the bad Kellen Mond. But Kellen Mond made 4 tremendous throws in the second half of that football game. Dan Chisena on a 4th and 5. Albert Wilson, first touchdown, threads the needle on a slant. Myron Mitchell with a diving catch, but the throw plopped right over the defender's shoulder. And then Albert Wilson's second touchdown. These throws were anticipatory. They were tight window. They were downfield. These are all the areas where Kellen Mond has struggled. He's been hesitant. And I think there was some of that early in this game. He took a while to get going. But it kind of reminded me of Kellen Mond in the 3rd preseason game late last year, where, again, he struggled at the start and then probably had his best half of football against Kansas City, I believe, last year. This was the best we've seen of Kellen Mond for a stretch. Now, on the whole, I think there's still some nitpicks to make, and we'll get to that. But continuing with my good column, I liked the shiftiness of Amir Smith-Marset. I also thought he missed a couple opportunities in this game. There was one throw that went through his hands he should have had, but I think he's your wide receiver 4 at this moment. And I thought that Tristan Jackson showed out as well. BC Johnson ran some nice routes. I think he's in the mix for one of those top 6 receiving spots. And then we mentioned Mitchell's diving reception. Other than that, very quiet game from Myron Mitchell. I think Jackson wins the battle between them. I've been on record as saying that Tristan Jackson and Myron Mitchell are sort of competing for potentially that final wide receiver spot. And, of course, Dan Chisena trying to hang around in this mix. I don't love his chances, but, hey, he's found a way the first 2 years to make the roster. First team run stuffers, rolling along with the good from this game. Harrison Phillips, very good. Dalvin Tomlinson, very good. Armon Watts, very good. I liked the front that the Vikings presented. On the game, the Raiders ended up just 3.6 yards per carry, so the run stuffing was pretty staunch for the entire game, but especially early on. The guys you care about were stopping the run, and that's one of the biggest ways that the Vikings are going to need to turn this defense around is to stop the run on early downs, have a longer 3rd and to go distance, and just put themselves in more favorable rushing situations on defense. So I thought that was a good early sign. And how about T.Y. McGill? T.Y. McGill with a couple of sacks in this game. For Better Call Saul fans, it'll be nice to have McGill to watch after the season finale on Monday. But McGill, remember, hung around a little bit on last year's practice squad. So this is his second year, and he seems to have made a little bit of a leap. That's not somebody who has stood out necessarily at practice. So I'm always a little wary of crowning someone due to a preseason performance. But he showed something. He showed some explosiveness on a couple of those plays. And then Greg Joseph, my last in the good column. This is more of a Matt Daniels thing. But Matt Daniels, the special teams coordinator, clearly is taking a more aggressive approach on kickoffs. Greg Joseph had the highest touchback percentage last year in the NFL, which tells you that Ryan Ficken was very comfortable just taking the touchbacks, use the leg, give it to the other teams at the 25. Joseph popping it up and daring teams to run it back shows a more aggressive approach, and I thought it worked pretty well in this game. So that's something to watch for on special teams, a 180 from Ficken to Daniels in that regard. All right, get to the bad. Philosophically, I don't love seeing Kevin O'Connell kicking 20-yard field goals. It's bad game theory. That's just a weird decision to make, and I know there's low stakes. It's preseason, but I would like to see him implementing the type of decision-making we're going to see in the regular season. When you go for it at the 1, at the 2-yard line, that's smart coaching. That's playing the percentages. When you kick 20-yard field goals, that's a losing philosophy, in my opinion. Didn't love to see that early in the game. I thought Kellen Mond started extremely slowly. I felt like there were moments where he was indecisive, where he was looking to his checkdowns, unable to get to his first reads. And the 3rd and goal, yes, the scramble was nice, but he missed a couple open receivers. He couldn't make that throw on the run and couldn't get the Vikings home on a drive where they were in the red zone. Some individuals who I didn't like as well. I thought Troy Dye struggled in what was basically a starting role for him. Troy Dye has had a couple of weak seasons, and I know he's listed as a backup linebacker on the first depth chart, but I view him as a bubble player. I think Troy Dye needs to show more if he's going to make this roster because he does have some linebackers nipping at his heels. Perry Nickerson, fringe cornerback, thought he struggled in this game. And Sean Mannion, once again, when he gets opportunities, he just doesn't give you much. I mean, he gives you the bare minimum. He was kind of a statue in the pocket, nothing downfield. Thought he made a couple risky throws. B.C. Johnson, for instance, had a really nice route run in the first quarter, and Mannion missed him, had a pass defensed. And then the ugly, I think the penalties. And that's as much on sort of this new emphasis on illegal contact as it is the Vikings. And the Vikings were far more penalized than the Raiders were, so they were more undisciplined in this game. But I think that goes to show just how dramatic this emphasis is going to be. Now, I think the officials are probably trained to overcall these penalties in the preseason and try to condition teams so that they're a little more disciplined in the regular season. That being said, this was probably going to leak over into weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4, where teams are getting called for the ticky-tack illegal contact calls. And we saw it called on Andrew Booth. We saw it called on, I believe, Troy Dye, Perry Nickerson, handful on the Vikings, and they had some other dumb penalties in this game as well. So a lack of discipline in this one, and especially early in that game. They had them stopped a couple times on 3rd down, only for the chains to move via penalty. They had special teams penalties as well. Too many flags on the Vikings, and Kevin O'Connell not going to be happy about that. But 2 more preseason games to go. 49ers here Wednesday and Thursday of this week. And then they'll play the 49ers on Saturday. Before we go, a reminder, this has been brought to you by BetOnline, betonline.net. Go there to find all the trends, all the action happening in sports. Vikings did not cover in this one. Vegas, with the 6-point win, covers the 4-point spread. Head to betonline.net right now where the game starts. Hopefully, Luke Braun and I can connect next week on the postcast. Luke is at the game in Las Vegas today. He'll be headed home, and we should be able to cover that one in dual fashion next week. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota wherever you get your podcasts or right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching our first postcast of the season, and have a good one.